Welcome back, everyone. And in today's video lesson, we are going to take one last look at determining the interval, and we're going to really focus here on augmented and diminished intervals since those are a little bit fancier. So let's go ahead and get started. And we can see here we have D flat to A flat flat, which is a double flat. So the first thing that we really want to do is we want to go ahead and write out the D flat major scale. Now, we don't have to write out the whole thing. We just need to write out the portion that's relevant to what we're looking at. So the D flat major scale is going to look something like this. This would be our relevant portion here. In other words, I don't need to write any further. And so looking at this, I can see I've got D flat to A flat. And if I number them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I'm not actually looking for A flat, am I? I'm looking for a double flat. And so what that really means is I'm taking this A flat over here and I'm flatting it again, right? So it's going to be the one before it. And so that would be flatting this interval. And so what does that mean? What is it to flat a 5? Well, that would be a diminished fifth. And so the interval here is D5, right? For diminished fifth. Now moving on, let's take a look at the next one. So once again, we start off by writing out our E flat major scale. And we just need to really write out the relevant portion, right? So that would give us something like this. Now let's go ahead and think about where G sharp is at. Well, G sharp is basically, the same thing as an A flat, right? It's enharmonic to it, but it's enharmonic to it, but it's not exactly the same interval. It's a different interval, right? So we've really stressed that. I think about the distance from E flat to G. That would give me 1, 2, 3. So from there, I think, well, I look at G sharp is bigger than G, and so we're taking this and we're going to G sharp. So now I have to sharp my 3. Sharping my 3 is going to give me, let's put it in green instead, that's going to give me an augmented third. Augmented third is the interval here. So let's look at the next one. We've got B flat to F flat. So writing out our scale, starting from B flat, we have B flat, C, D, E flat, F. Again, just really writing out the relevant portion. And I want to recognize that F flat is before F. Okay, and so once again, if I label these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that means we're dealing with some kind of a 5. But what kind of a 5 exactly? Well, F flat, right? It's lower than a 5. It's smaller than a 5. And so we're going to make our fifth degree smaller by just going back a half step. And that would give us yet another D5, a diminished fifth interval. Okay, moving on, let's take a look at the next one. G flat to F sharp. So this one's kind of big. So, the relevant portion here is the whole thing. So we just write out the G flat major scale, G flat and A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F, and G flat. Okay, and you'll see once again, there's no F sharp that appears in here. But I want to think about where does F occur? And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is some kind of a 7. And now I want to think that, well, this is F sharp, and F sharp is bigger than an F. So this is taking my 7th degree and making it larger. So I'm making my 7th degree larger, and what does that? Well, that would be an augmented 7th interval. It's not a major 7th. It's an augmented 7th, right? So it's bigger. And you really want to think of it this way. G flat and F sharp, aren't those enharmonic already? So they're already naturally enharmonic, but what we have then is that they're the same note, but they're not the same interval. Something interesting to think about. Now, looking at our last and final example here, we have F sharp to a double sharp. So once again, we're going to write out our F sharp major scale, and we really just need to write out the relevant portion of that. And I'll go one more just for fun. And I see that we're looking for an A. So let's go 1, 2, 3. And so what we're seeing here is that we need some kind of a 3. So there's all kinds of 3s, right? We have a diminished third, a minor third, a major third, an augmented third. So what kind of 3 is it? Well, I can see that we're taking the A sharp and we're sharping it again, which makes the interval larger. And augmented intervals make intervals larger, so we're going to make our 3 larger. Therefore, that's going to give us an augmented third. So there you have it, folks. So we have diminished fifth, augmented third, diminished fifth, augmented seventh, and augmented third. So these are all of your diminished and augmented intervals, or at least in this context here. And you can see that what we're looking at is what happens when we have intervals between two notes that are not enharmonically equivalent, right? Flats to sharps. sharps to double sharps. I don't have a sharp to flat example, but you get the idea. We have flat to double flat, right? So when they're not enharmonically equivalent, how do we deal with that? And that usually is going to get you into diminished and augmented intervals.